Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. On this brand new channel I am documenting my time racing with Gran Turismo and currently Formula 1 2021. In this video we will take a look at our next My Team career race and we'll cover the practice sessions, qualifying and the race itself. Today we head over the Atlantic and to Montreal in Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named after the famous French-Canadian racing driver. Canada has hosted a Grand Prix since 1961 and it became part of the Formula 1 World Championship in 1967, so my birth year. It has also been held at its current home since 1978, so it is one of the long-standing circuits on the calendar. The circuit features a wall of champions which forms part of the final corner. It's been visited by and ended the races of many legends of Formula 1, including Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve. It's also claimed races from Ricardo Zonta, Juan Pablo Montoya, Carlos Sainz, Jenson Button, Sebastian Vettel and more recently Kevin Magnussen. So some pretty big names over the years have hit the wall. Although I am far from a champion and I usually run well here with good results, so let's hope that I do not add my name to that list of drivers who have been claimed by this infamous wall, which sported the phrase "Welcome to Quebec" on it for the 1999 Grand Prix. Now, following the recent disasters at the two preceding street circuits, we really need a good result here. Just recently we've suffered from a severe lack of points from both drivers, and Jack continues to look for his first points in Formula 1. In addition, I've been going through front wings like they're going out of fashion, and that has not helped the bank balance at all, wiping out my earnings completely in Baku. So money is beginning to become a concern because we need to develop the car and our drivers. On top of that, one of our sponsors is looking for and financially rewarding points finishes, so we've been letting our new sponsor down badly as well. Something I really hope to turn around in this race. You'll remember that we suffered a severe loss of power from the engine at Baku and we lost the turbo for a double handful of power trouble for that race. Because we hope to do well in Canada, we've taken a number of new power options, or we've changed a number of the power unit components to give us the best opportunity in this particular race. Likewise, our gearbox has now completed 6 of the expected 6 races of its lifetime. So we're going to take the precaution of fitting a brand new gearbox for this weekend. I really want to give us the best opportunity at a track that we like. With regards to current standings, we find ourselves back in 7th place behind Red Bull, Mercedes and the Ferrari drivers. Both of the McLaren drivers are also nipping at our heels going into this weekend. So we really need to be on our A game and put in a good result this time. In the Constructors, we have found ourselves in 5th place behind McLaren, and Ferrari have opened up a decent lead over McLaren to secure 3rd place in the championship. A great reward for some very good performances recently. With Ferrari powering our car, maybe we can tap into some of that performance and do better in Canada. We do have a nice gap back to the Alpines behind us, but I'd like to get back to mixing it with the front runners if at all possible. But without Jack's help, that could be a big ask right now. So we're just going to need to knuckle down and just see what we can do. So on to our season's results, and it makes for troubling reading right now. We started okay, but with 2 DNFs in the last 2 races, our position in both championships and our financial position is hurting us right now. To keep our fans and sponsors happy, we really need to do something special this weekend. Lastly, we've been struggling against our rival in recent meetings, and we now trail Bottas by 8 points, and we look certain to lose this rivalry with only 3 races remaining. The bad news continues with a warning that our cash position is now so bad that we do not even have enough cash to renew Jack's contract shortly. This was then compounded by news that a number of our upgrades have failed in production, needing to consume more resource points to get those back into production again, and obviously there's going to then be a delay in getting those parts on the car. I find that running a Formula One team is proving much harder than I'd imagined, and it seems that our backs are very much against the wall on all counts right now. With that said, we said goodbye to our factory colleagues, and with their best wishes ringing our ears, we headed off to the airport and a transatlantic flight to Canada. On arrival, we found that the first of the practice sessions were set to be wet, so we opted for a quick practice and the race strategy program, and that too delivered some pretty dismal results. With no time left for any other programs, we packed up for the day and went home. We opted to drive practice 2, and we chose our usual favourite track, the acclimatisation program. This involves setting a good time through the speed trap, deploying DRS in all of the DRS zones and gaining a good advantage with the cornering speed, all of which were retrieved by the end of lap 2, although we fell short of the points required by the end of this part of the session. Given that practice was largely a failure, we opted for a second run, taking on the race strategy option. This involved deploying the DRS again, claiming a clean sector and also managing tyre wear. We got our clean sector pretty quickly and then had to negotiate getting past Alonso, which was harder than expected, and going a little deep into one of the corners. We had a coming together mid-corner and yet another wing headed for the scrap pile. After a quick pit stop, we came out and found ourselves behind the other Alpine, but with the two developments being green, one more needed for a complete set, and thankfully that came pretty quickly. Without wanting to risk more damage to the car and yet more wings, we retired from the practice sessions and bagged 8th place by the end of practice 2. Practice 3 was another quick practice session and with some slightly better results. Overall, not too bad from the practice sessions and some much needed R&D points to spend. And come Saturday, then the weather being set fine, we're feeling much more confident for the qualifying. So let's just have a look and see how that went. So qualifying around Canada isn't quite as important as qualifying well at Baku and Monaco, because there are overtaking opportunities. But we really do need to make the most out of this weekend, and rather than sandbagging and holding back, we did really go for it from the off in this qualifying session, starting off with a flying lap, and very quickly we managed to climb up the order and post in first position, which was rather nice. However, it wasn't without risk, and those risks came at a cost, and we did manage to wind up with some DRS issues and also a wiped off front wing. So as you just heard from the engineer, two issues. The front wing is obviously going to cost us badly again, so we don't really want to do that too much. And so with first position in the bag and some of the other drivers a fair bit behind us, so we've got a 1:13.4 and Sergio closest to us at 1:15.1. With 10 minutes to go in the session, we decided to accelerate through and hope that that lap that we put in would get us the pole position.
And with qualifying complete,
race.
Let's review our top three today. Morgan, Bottas and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So Perez actually dropped back to 6th, so it was a little bit of a risky strategy, but we were okay. We got a 1.2 gap over Bottas in 2nd. Charles Leclerc made 3rd, which was quite nice. So for our rivalry, we've scored 2-1. So we've clawed back 1 point over Bottas. 2 races remaining, so still an awful lot to be done, and we really do need to beat him quite conclusively in this particular race. So lots to do. Our team acclaim is up to 9, which is quite nice, but we do need to get 10 for that additional sponsor, so still some way to go. And as we head into the race, it really is all to play for. We've got a good qualifying position.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
I'm certainly hoping we're going to have a good chance in the race this time. We certainly have done everything that we needed to do during qualifying, and with any luck, we will be able to convert that in
Notre
the
Dame
race.
once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at a fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than 1/10 of a second. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles an hour here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions. And watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and the final chicane. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the rundown into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Morgan lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Norris, Lewis Hamilton and Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Stroll, Raikkonen, George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Aitken and Nikita Mazepin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Well, we're up the front, which is good. We've got Jack right at the back, which is not so good. So let's hope that we can get the good start. So 5 lights and we are racing. It looks like we got a very reasonable start there. We seem to have come into the first corner ahead of Bottas, who seems to be dropping back, but Leclerc is now behind us. Bottas has just overtaken Norris again. But we are out in front, and it looks like on these nice soft new tyres we're making some headway. This is a view of Jack's start from the back. He's in 24th position with Nikita behind him. Can he make any places at all as we go into the first corner? It looks like it's not going to be possible, and Nikita's having a look around the outside. Jack really needs to keep his foot in and make sure that we don't lose more places. Alas, it looks like Nikita has got him, and Jack is now running dead last. So it's going to all be down to me again to bring the points home, I fear, for Mitchell Morgan Racing. And up at the front, we've already pulled out nearly a second over Charles Leclerc in second, with Lando chasing behind in third. And we're really going to have to keep the pressure up now. We're going to need to make sure that we can deliver some good points in this race. Valtteri is down in fourth, which is good. We've got a little bit of a cushion with 2 cars between us. So I'm keeping one eye on my rival at the moment, and you can see I'm already locking up wheels and tyres going into that corner. So already pushing very, very hard, even this early on in the race. What I'm really trying to do here is to build a cushion so that if we do need to pit for for a wing or something, then it's not going to penalise us as heavily as it might otherwise have done. So, end of the first lap, and we posted the fastest lap of anybody, which is good, and that looks promising for the race. Charles is down 1.3 seconds behind us at this point, and the car seems to be running really nicely. No issues at this point in the Grand Prix. Looks like there's not many movers behind us. Everything seems to be pretty much as it is. Jack is still not on the timing board, as you can see on the screen, so I'm guessing he's still down in last. And you can see there's a real train of cars behind Charles Leclerc. And we just need to continue to build a little bit of a cushion between us. And it looks like Lando Norris has actually fallen off the back of Charles Leclerc now. But again, we're just really driving our own race. And okay, so another fastest lap. So we're just continuing to push hard at the moment. The weather is looking okay at this precise moment in time. Just watching the gap between myself and Charles Leclerc at the moment, and it does seem to be ebbing and flowing a little bit, but we are pulling away by a tenth or two pretty consistently at the moment, so up to 3 seconds now. Lando seems to have settled down. He's just over a second away from Charles Leclerc, and so as we come around to finish lap 4, we are looking at being nearly...
Some weather is going to hit in around 5 minutes time, so stay on your toes.
I was just going to say, we're just coming up for 5 seconds ahead. It looks like weather is on its way, so...
You'll be on the mediums.
Okay, so we are going to need to think about tyres a little bit if we've got weather coming in. As the engineer said, we're coming up for the mediums. Now this is Kimi Raikkonen with a move on Mick Schumacher. It looks like at the end of lap 4, DRS enabled, and it looks like Antonio Giovinazzi is having a look as well. Are we really going to go 3 wide into this corner? Giovinazzi with a wonderful move to do 2 cars in 1 corner. Is he going to make that stick? Yes, it looks like he has. So it looks like Kimi had to back out of that a little bit, but an amazing move by Antonio there. So we're back with Nicholas Latifi here, just having a look at that overtake. Very, very brave, very well executed, a lovely move. Now with Jacket back in 22nd, it's a shame he's not pulling some moves like that at the moment, but yeah, some great racing. We're with Lewis Hamilton now on Antonio, giving him a dummy one way and then the other. It looks like we're going to go around the outside, and that's pretty much a textbook move by Lewis there. So we're now with Max lining up Antonio, and he seems to be being overtaken by a number of the front runners, and again another fairly textbook move. Antonio's coming back at Max, but I feel that he's going to get the power down out of that corner, and that again is another move done by one of the top runners. So back with Max again. He's doing a move on Carlos at the moment in the Ferrari. Another move around the outside and another pretty clinical move. Now back up the front with myself, and that weather looks like it is getting a bit grey by lap 10. We're still on the softs at the moment, but maybe it's going to be a case of having to dive into the pits sometime soon. Yes, there we go. just about getting it slowed down. Obviously these softs have gone a little bit far in this race, so we are coming in, I gather, for the mediums. Yep, medium tyres ready. It's a lovely overhead shot. So medium tyres on. If this weather hits, we are going to need to consider intermediates, but for now I think we are good to go as we are. Nearly 30 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc by lap 11. So building the gap was good, and we just need to get these tyres warmed up and make sure that we don't have any issues. 13-second gap to Leclerc at this point, so if we do need to pit for intermediates, and we imagine that everybody will need to, we should be okay. If we do need to pit for a wing, then that could be an issue. So really we do need to continue to build this gap a little bit. Starting to see a few raindrops on the camera lens at the moment, but nothing to worry about too much at the moment. It looks wetter around this part of the circuit than anywhere else. It's certainly not a lot of spray coming up off of the car at the moment, so we will continue around for another lap. So we are in lap 14 now, and Daniel Ricciardo has come in for intermediates, so it looks like Inters are the tyre of choice at the moment, and you can see that Carlos is doing a move on George Russell, who's on mediums, and I'm still on mediums at the moment and going for another lap with some of the other runners coming into for intermediates. We really need to be watching their times, and yeah, it does look like we are struggling for grip quite a bit at the moment. Taking it steady through these corners. And you can see the rain is starting to come down quite a bit now. Some puddles forming on the track, which is going to cause us some issues. Trying to straighten these corners, back stepping out. Very, very slippery now. I think it's definitely time that we need to be considering intermediates. We really don't want to put it into the wall and have another terminal failure due to our own stupidity. We got 15 seconds on Charles Leclerc, so that is looking okay, and I don't think he's been in for his intermediates, and it looks like it's definitely Inters that people need to be on, so I'm going to imagine that a few of those guys are going to be pitting as well. Okay, so the race engineer is calling Inters as well at the moment, and it certainly is looking wet. We've got quite a bit of spray coming up off the rear tyres now. Struggling to make these apexes. So 3 laps to go.
You're doing well out there, keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes, understood, stopping this lap.
Okay, we've 10 more minutes of rain and the track clearly getting wetter. Now is definitely the time to come in. I've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it as much as I can to see if we could get to the end on these medium tyres, but I'm starting to think that it's getting a little bit silly now. We've got DRS disabled by the stewards as well. So yeah, I think that now is definitely the time to call it a day. We're really tiptoeing around, missed the apex, or sliding towards the wall there, managed to keep it out of the wall. We are managing to keep the distance between ourselves and Leclerc just about, but obviously concerned about other people on Inters. Very wide there again, another slide.
DRS is now disabled.
And you can see that we are red sector 1, red sector 2, so time's dropping off massively right now. The big question is, where are those intermediate runners? We dive into the pits for our intermediates. And it's a little bit heart and mouth at this point, because whilst Leclerc, Norris, Bottas, Perez behind us I don't believe they've pitted for their intermediates. Are they going to pit, or are they going to carry on? Yes, they are starting to pit, which is good news. But for those front runners who pitted, are they going to be coming out around us, ahead of us? It looks like Norris didn't pit. He tried this in real life in 2021 and it didn't work out for him. It looks like he's gone on ahead to try and finish on his tyres. We have managed to get out in front of him, which is good, and we are already starting to pull away, even though these intermediates are probably not up to temperature yet. We're red sector 1, not too worried about that at the moment. There is so much water on this track that I'm expecting the sectors to be constantly red, but we are pulling away from Norris at the moment quite quickly. Thankfully, Jacques is in the pits as well. I don't know whether Jack is going to be able to make any places up and get into the points. I doubt it. So we're just going to concentrate and see if we can turn this race into a victory. Lap 16, and we are 12 seconds ahead of Norris. Leclerc, Perez and Bottas all behind him as we come up to finish lap 16 and start lap 17. We've got a pretty comfortable lead at the moment. Don't want to back off too much and let these tyres get too cold or concentration lack, but so we don't want to be pushing too hard and find that we pay a visit to that Wall of Champions or one of the other walls. So just taking it a little bit easy whilst also watching the margins right now. Okay, so we've got a lap and a bit to go and 2 laps of fuel. A bit deep there, but good to know that fuel is not an issue. You can see that there's quite a bit of standing water here. Water on the camera lens as well. Okay, so what we've got going on here, we've got Perez, we're watching in 3rd place. That car doesn't sound too healthy. Is that a puff of smoke from the engine, or is that... It is. I couldn't work out whether it's spray. He's definitely going slowly. And that looks like a retirement for Perez. That is going to hurt his championship lead. He's been doing so well in recent races, but it looks like he's retired from this one. That's going to benefit us considerably. And back up the front, we're on our last lap here. 17.
Caution.
Okay, it's going past Perez's car, parked up on the left hand side. And as we come through here, we are 17.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc in 2nd. Bottas is now up to 3rd, but we are still ahead of him at the moment. What we need to do now is just keep these 4 wheels going in the right direction, keep the nose out of the wall, and just see if we can bring this car home. Really slippery now, car moving around quite a lot under braking, and trying to get the power down is quite difficult, so you're having to feather that accelerator and just bring the power in gently. Watching for our braking zone up here so we don't overshoot this little chicane and visit the Wall of Champions. Staying out of it for the moment. And that is job done. That is a win that we really, really needed.
Great drive. We did it. Good job.
That's a relief. Well done, Max, for driver of the day. Well deserved. Well, difficult conditions towards the end there.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on the circuit and have come out on top.
Here comes your top three making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
Oh, so pleased to be back on that top step. That was a hard race. I feel physically drained at the end of that one. But it's nice not to see Perez up there, although I was disappointed that he had to retire. Nice to see a few new faces up there.
That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
Let's move on to the constructors. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So that's job done as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, Jack is still not scoring, which is not great. With the standings, we've now moved up to 4th place, which is pretty good. Lewis and Carlos have both dropped back a little bit, with Charles Leclerc jumping. So basically just the 4 of us moving now at the moment. Jack's still down in 19th with 0 points, and with regards to the constructors, we're sitting in 5th. That has pulled us further away from the Alpines. It's got us a little bit closer to the McLarens, but still with an awful lot of work to do. But I can't do much more than win the race. I just need to get Jack up there with us and help him. With regards to the rivalry breakdown, that was pretty good, 5 points to 3, so we've managed to pull back marginally, but again, with just 2 races remaining and 20 to 25, that is going to be an uphill struggle. Our acclaim has come up a little bit, and the team acclaim has come up really nicely, but still not found that level 10 to give us that extra sponsor. Thankfully, with some points, we've got a nice bonus from our sponsor. Not too bad on the damages this time, so the bank balance has increased a little bit. It'd be nice if it was 2 million, but at least we got out of this weekend what we could. Looking forward to round 8, and hopefully we'll be able to build on this weekend. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please consider subscribing and hitting the like bell. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you for the next Grand Prix coming very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.